Okay, everyone, good evening. Welcome to the Goffstown Sewer Commission's monthly meeting. As we usually do, we'll start with a roll call with Corey.
Corey Weck, sewer foreman.
Lynn Pooler, sewer secretary.
Dave Pierce, Commissioner.
Tim Redmond, Commissioner.
Dan Taylor, Commissioner.
Michael Trank, consulting engineer.
Jim Craig, Select Board Representative.
Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. First item on our agenda is, we just had an election, is to elect a chair and vice chair.
Newly elected, I did do my oath of office, so
Oh, good, thank you for doing that.
formally
Good.
okay. Tim, would you want to serve another year?
I would, because I have a few things that I want to make sure I would get things done that I started here in my term as chair, I don't know, 4 years ago, and I'd like to continue if it's all right with the members of the commission.
Okay, well, I nominate Tim Redmond to be chair.
I'll second that.
Motion made to seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Vice chair.
Dave, do you want to be continue vice chair?
All right. I was ready to nominate you, Dan.
Really?
Yes. This is
Your
Yep.
third,
Second.
Yep, this would be third year.
third year in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I nominate Dan Taylor, vice chair.
I'll second the nomination.
Okay.
Any other nominations? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you, Dave, and thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Okay, the first item on the agenda, as usual, is our public comment. If anyone has a public comment they'd like to make to the Sewer Commission, this is your time to speak up, identify yourself, and be on the record. Okay, seeing none, no one's here, we will close the public comment. We have minutes from March 21st of 23. Did everyone have a chance to look at them, either online or here?
I've read them.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion?
A motion to accept the minutes of March 21st, 2023 as presented.
Motion
Yeah,
to,
and second.
motion made and seconded to accept the minutes as presented. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Motion passes. We have a new business item here, Eric Forcier from Heald Street. Corey, are you aware what's going on?
Yes.
Could you please bring the commission up to speed?
So, Mr. Forcier here is trying to subdivide a lot at the corner of Heald and Ivy Street off of St. A's Drive. And we've been talking for a long time, because at first glance at this, the sewer run on Ivy Street didn't actually come up past his lot.
Okay.
But one of my biggest concerns was looking at where the manhole sat, the property line. I didn't think he could connect without actually extending the sewer, but he had a surveyor go out and actually locate the manhole, the property, and how the house would sit in the lot to ensure that with the sewer's current location, he could connect to it without extending it,
And without a pump?
without a bump, and not going cross lots.
Mm-hmm.
And they were able to do so, but even, I took this over to see Scott Ozana and actually talk to him about it, because it does go at an angle, and I wanted their blessing that it wasn't actually going to impede any further drainage work or public works. And they had no issue with it. It should be plenty deep enough where they can go right over the top of it. So that line has plenty of capacity, and in
Yeah.
looking at everything else in this neighborhood, everything else is hooked up. There's nothing left to subdivide. In extending the sewer past or to the property line, you're not gonna gain anything. Nobody's gonna connect to it. There's nobody else to touch it.
So the water line is horizontally separate. What about that gas line
They would go over, well, they'd go under the gas line.
under the gas line?
Yeah, the gas line's only about 36 inches deep. The
How deep-
sewer.
How
is-
deep is the sewer there?
It's over 6 feet.
Thank you.
And then the folks that are across the way, Clardy and Manjanis, are those folks on sewer now, or on those lots, Corey,
Yep.
do you know of?
Yep, Clardy actually attaches just opposite 4 feet off the manhole. So they come down at an angle just like this lot would.
Okay,
And he's gonna tie in, I said there, you needed to leave a 5-foot space and then draw in where you would tie in.
so you're making a 5-foot separation between the two services?
Yep.
Okay. And the other lot, Manjanis, does that come out and tie into Heald Street?
Correct.
Okay. And the current residence of the owner, that, it goes into Heald Street?
Yes.
Because I don't see it shown on our plan. I see the water line. I'm not seeing the sewer connection.
The sewer connection actually should be right by, there's a clean out right out front.
I'm just saying,
Yeah, it's not shown
the
on
diagram, it
plan.
doesn't show it.
Yep.
It shows it on the town GIS, but not on there.
Okay. So that house is also on sewer.
Correct.
Commissioners have any questions for Corey before we ask the applicant to step up?
So Corey, the only unusual feature here is that it's running at a diagonal to catch the end of the existing line.
Correct.
Okay.
And the other thing, normally you would want the sewer manhole to be out in front of the frontage of any given lot.
It, technically, you would, in the ordinance, it would need to extend to your next property line.
So it looks like, if I'm looking at the property line, it looks like the sewer manhole is within feet of,
It's right
of
there.
of a 90-degree
Yeah.
intersection with
Correct.
the property line. Okay. Now, would this require a waiver of any kind from the commissioners, Corey?
No.
Okay.
And what about the clean out at the property line?
There will be a clean out.
It doesn't show it in the plan, but you'll be there.
Yeah, it's gonna be long enough where it will need to clean out.
Yeah.
Well, don't we typically have a clean out at the property line?
Only if it's over 75 feet.
Well, don't we require 6-inch service to the property line? And then transition to a 4-inch service to the home if they decide?
When we go through and redo, we always do that.
Like on Lewis Street last
On
year.
Lewis Street,
every house had
everybody has a
clean
clean
out.
out. And I always suggest, every time a contractor comes in to do a service, they're not by the sewer use ordinance, they don't have to, but most everybody puts one in.
All right, based on whatever the recommendation of the commissioners are at the conclusion of this meeting, I would recommend that you require a clean out at the property line. Okay. All right, since there's no more, anything from you, Daniel?
Nope.
Mr. Forcier, do you have anything you'd like to add to the conversation, or?
May I ask what a clean out is?
Clean out is a Y fitting in the line.
If you really want to set there.
Could you give your name for the record, please?
Eric Force here.
And a clean out is a fitting in the pipe that has a 45-degree bend built into it, and a pipe that comes up to grade, so that if the line gets plugged, you can put a snake down it and clean the pipe.
You got the little manhole cover I'm used to seeing in the middle
Yeah,
of
the little-
my driveway.
Yes.
Another place. I have a
Actually,
manhole.
it's just a white plastic cap.
Yep.
When it's in the driveway, we use a top hat.
Okay.
So we can clean, the sewer department can clean from that connection to the street line.
Got it.
And if that doesn't solve the problem, then it's on your side of the pipeline.
Well, that's not actually correct.
Okay.
We won't touch your private line. We will
Okay.
only touch the sewer main.
Yeah, you will inspect from that Y to the street.
Nope. Well, if they have an issue, their plumber can come in and snake it. We wouldn't, as a sewer department, we would not snake that.
Where does the responsibility differentiate? Tell us that.
We only own the sewer main. we do not own the service. So from the attachment to the main to the home is the homeowner's responsibility.
For anything, including
Anything.
damage,
Damage.
repairs,
Yep.
root infiltration, anything that happens is on the homeowner too.
Yes,
Even if it's under the road.
even if it's under the road.
Okay, so that's good information.
Which I don't mind, but I suppose it begs the question, why would the sewer commission mandate that I have one on my property as part of this development? I'm just curious, I doubt it's much of an expense, but if it's something that you guys don't go in.
We like to make sure that we give the best advice possible to homeowners who are gonna make a connection.
Yep.
We do require it on all our upgrades when we do, like we did Louis Street this past season. And we did, I don't know, Dave probably knows, 30 connections maybe on that street. We put cleanouts at the property line for the residents to use, even though we don't use them.
I can imagine it's better than having to dig it all up if you can't figure out how to clean it
Well,
out and the whole thing's clogged. So I
it's
bet you
less-
it's a good thing.
It's less expensive, it's easier to snake the line from the street than to go into your house and go from that cleanout in your house all the way through. You actually
Lot
have,
cleaner.
especially if you have something that's plugged. As soon as you open the pipe, the cap in your basement, if it's plugged, all that water is gonna come into your basement. You have to
No,
catch it
that
in a
sounds
pail. Now, if it happens to be in the pipe up to the bathtub on the second floor,
Yeah.
now you have a charge of water to deal with. Now, should the disruption of the service be in that short section and the guy's able to clean it, it'll all go whoosh right down, and you don't have to deal with that in your own home.
And it doesn't sound like a terrible expense, especially if you haven't paved or anything, you're just gonna put it as part of the construction, so.
It would be on your lawn,
Sounds like a
actually.
no-brainer.
It'd be on your lawn,
Oh,
actually.
it'd be on the lawn?
Yeah, that's where it would come up to grade and be right at your property line on the lawn.
Oh,
So that if a town plow were to hit it when plowing,
Yep.
if it's on your property, then they're not responsible to make any repairs to it. So we would recommend that it be on your lawn. And
Sounds
you
like
can-
I'll be here
And you
from
can
Cory.
talk to Corey
Yep.
and whoever your contractor ultimately is to do your work.
Great.
Or if you're just selling the lot, then you can go with the lot.
Well, I wanted to update the commission on a couple of items that have happened since the submission of these plans. For full disclosure, I met with the Technical Review Committee, which is a great, it met right here. It was a great resource to get all the departments in one spot. And I proposed to them a slightly different plan than you have in front of you, no different in sewer connection, except that I wanted to move the line as much as I could to the pool, because I'm trying to get approval for a two-family in the backyard. And so I have one in front of me right here, showing 10,689 square feet, not the 10,000 you see in front of you. The line between the two lots is
Yeah.
barely negligible that you can see between the two drafts, but that's been moved.
Well, these are planning issues. These are not sewer commission issues.
Just want to make sure
Yep.
you aren't looking at the most recent looking at the most recent draft I have. And there'll be another draft after my comments from the Technical Review Committee in my desire to have a duplex there. But the
They-
sewer connection is going to remain the same.
Basically, we're here to make the decision that we have enough capacity for you to hook up to our line, and secondarily, you meet the criteria set forth in our sewer ordinance to hook up to our line, and it's our sewer foreman's recommendation that you meet both.
Great.
So the technical question, Corey, of our capacity of pumping sewage to Manchester, this won't,
I believe Corey already
Threaten
stated
that.
that.
Yeah, it won't affect it.
Okay, so, does this require a vote, a motion, and we have in the past? I don't believe so, this is just an
No,
authorization.
Yeah, we just.
So at this point, you're free to tell the planning department that sewer commission has given you the authorization to hook up to the sewer line.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Corey. He was very easy and friendly to deal with,
Sure.
despite disagreeing at first. He was still easy to deal with. Thanks, guys.
Okay, we were supposed to talk about personnel, but we're gonna wait for, what we're gonna talk about is Corey's job description. I can just let everybody know that Danielle took it upon herself after I asked her about it. She got some information from other sewer departments. And she has some information to present to us at a time when we have a discussion. And that's an open discussion, that's not non-public.
And I went through the current job description and got rid of all of the highway aspect of it. So you guys have a copy of it, and when you look at the packets, you can make whatever notes on it.
I think we'll talk about that when the time comes. We all have some input for it, so, but let's wait till we can all do it together. Okay, old business, we have Elm Street Pump Station, change order number 2. Mike Trank, I see it on the table. Could you give us a rundown?
Sure. This change order has 2 proposed items in it. The first is the change that was approved by the commission to replace the existing rotating assemblies in the existing 2 pumps. So that's item number 1, and that's $14,500. The second item is, there was a clay pipe sewer service line that was encountered when the footings were being constructed for the building addition to the pump station. And that was improperly connected to the sewer line, to say the least. It didn't have a fitting, YT,
That was,
nothing. It was
that was
just,
the lateral coming from the neighboring house.
it was just a hole in the main pipe, and it was actually open, so water and soil and everything would go into the
I think
main
you provided
sewer.
us with photos of it, or somebody did.
Yeah, so that had to be fixed. So that's item number 2, and that's the
So
6870.
what else did they do besides the fitting? Did they replace the line all the way to the property line?
Just no, just a segment of the existing pipe. Only
We
what
went
they
to their
needed
property line, to the neighbor's property line.
So you
to
went under
clean
the
out.
driveway?
Yes.
Under
and
the
went up.
driveway, that's right, yeah.
Because I'm just looking at the price. It's a lot of money for a Y fitting. I don't know. Anybody disagree that that's a lot of money to do a simple Y fitting and a line under the driveway? $7,000?
They had to saddle it, that pipe,
Okay.
so
So
that
there was
was a,
excavation, and they had to replace some.
Well, they had it open because they dug for the footings.
that wasn't exposed, actually. 'Cause-
No, they had to go beyond,
yeah,
well beyond the footing to open that up, to put the saddle on.
No. And this is already done, and this is the change order. This is what they're billing us for this.
Correct.
Yeah, well, I think it's a lot of money. So I'll approve it, but I think in the future, I think we're gonna have to have a better handle on what these prices are gonna run us, because this is a lot of money for that bit of work. I mean, someone does a sewer service to a new house in this town, it doesn't even run that high, in most cases, so. I'm looking at numbers all the time. All right, so, any discussion on this from other commissioners? This one has, is this the one I'm supposed to sign, or are we just doing a verbal on this tonight, Mike?
Yours says draft on it. I
Yeah.
did bring
And it's got,
a signature page without the word draft on it, in case you do approve it.
okay. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions for Mike on this, or do we need a motion to pay the net total change increase of $21,370?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Do you know what happened to the old rotating assemblies?
I
We were
don't.
supposed to get those back,
I don't.
so we could rebuild them.
I'll just show it.
Okay. So they're not in the building.
Huh.
I'd say we can pay the bill subject to you getting your rotating assembly back. But don't disperse the funds until the rotating assembly is back in your hands.
Yeah, you haven't been invoiced anything yet for
Well, I
this.
mean, they will be invoicing as soon as you tell them it's okay, right?
The next monthly invoice.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
Yeah,
Are you ready?
go ahead.
Make a motion to approve the change order for Elm Street Pump Station improvements for a total amount, where is that? $21,370, pending return of our rotating assembly and any issues with that.
We don't want that pending in there for approving the change order, do we? That was for the invoice. Because we want to approve the change order
Approve.
tonight, right?
Yeah, approve the change
Approve,
order,
okay.
but then we can
Make
state
sure.
the payment will not be made.
Okay.
So,
Approve the change order for Elm Street, pump station improvements in the amount of 21,370 with making note that payment will not be dispersed until we receive our equipment back.
Good.
Second?
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. Okay,
Do you want to sign this there?
You
sure, Mike,
second
yep.
that, Dave?
There's two.
Dave, did you second that?
Yes. Corey, what do you do with the unusable rotating assembly?
I'll bring them to AAA pump and have them rebuild them. So,
Spare.
spares. I have one spare now. It would be nice to have the other two because sometimes they rotate them out. Because like Moose Club eats the rotating assemblies every 2 years. So it'd be nice to pull them both and be on a better schedule instead of having one really inefficient pump that's running too much.
Okay, second item tonight is pump station structural repairs design update, and that's Mike also. Mike?
Yes, those drawings are probably 85 to 90% complete.
And which pump station are we looking at? Riverview?
It's Riverview
Okay.
and Elm,
East Union.
East Union, yeah. So there's, within Hoyle Tanner Structural, there's been an in-house review. They sent me the drawings last week, and I'm reviewing them to put in any edits that I want to make, and we'll send those back. And when I do that, I'll circulate the drawings to you folks.
So give a very short and overall description of what we're doing at Riverview right now with
At Riverview, the existing building structure is a prefab fiberglass structure, and the roof leaks, like everything leaks, but that's being replaced. We looked at some different options. We had an online meeting. Dan was party to that, and everybody liked a building that's made by this company called Easy Set. So it's a prefab building.
what's it constructed of?
Precast.
Precast.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
It's precast concrete. But it's got some nice features to it. So we're basing the design on that. And so those are the details that we included in the drawing,
Mike?
the information we got from
My
that.
first question would be is if you ultimately recommend the Easy Cast, or whatever you called it, building?
Easy Set.
Easy Set building, could you please ask the manufacturer if they have any recommended contractors that they use for
Mhm.
this that would be familiar with the process? Because it's gonna involve leaning all the equipment in to remove the old building and then install the new building and lean the equipment back against the wall and reattach it.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a contractor involved if we just purchase the building outright, you know?
Yeah, and it actually comes from a local precaster.
I'm just saying that we need
Yeah.
to figure out how we're gonna get it installed and how we're gonna get the equipment handled inside the building.
Mhm.
So
yeah.
if they have recommended contractors that do these for them,
Yeah.
I'd like to at least meet with them and find out before we go searching for a general contractor locally.
Shea Concrete is the regional
Yep.
Right.
licensee for Easy Set, so.
Okay. Well, Easy Set may have their own in-house recommended contractors that they use. So
Yeah,
let's
or
just at
Shea
least
may have
or
somebody
Shea,
that
yeah.
they-
just ask the question. I
Yeah.
imagine Shea is just gonna make a building and send it. I deal
Yeah.
with Shea all the time.
Mhm.
So I would ask Easy Set if they have anybody they would like to recommend.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other one at East Union?
East Union,
is the-
there's some miscellaneous structural repairs to that
With
building.
the CMUs?
Yeah, and the roof was an issue there as well.
And how much of the roof are we looking at replacing at this time, Mike? The whole thing
I
on both
think we're
buildings?
now looking at all of it because
Yes.
of the extensive problems.
Right, so we need to look at the whole thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and that's what the drawings show.
So now, just for everyone's edification, at the last meeting, we voted to withdraw funding from our reserve accounts from the, our most difficult account to get money out of the accessibility fee to pay for some of these bills we're using. And now maybe we can encumber some of the money that came from this year towards one or both of these projects. Okay, so it's something to think about, instead of giving it back to the general fund. But that would require getting some bids done, so we'll see how quick it goes. And you are working on Albert Street as we speak?
Yes, I signed a contract with the surveyor,
Okay, good.
and they've got it on their schedule. And I'm just trying to get confirmation of when they can actually start the survey work.
Do you have any expectation we'll be able to bid this and get this work done this year?
Yes.
Good, that's all I want to hear. Excellent. Any questions for Mike, from either of the commissioners? Okay, we'll move on to the outdoor seating. I've been pressing this at the last few meetings. I think we need to get a plan together, which one will explain to the residents, the businesses, how we're gonna calculate their seating. Corey's gonna be responsible for coming up with seat counts. Yep. Also, how the billing is gonna be done, and Lynn has already looked into that, and we're gonna do a billing on one particular billing period, not both, right, Lynn?
Right, if that's what you decide you want to do. I called around to 7 different places today to find out what they did. Most of them, Bedford, Hooksett, Allenstown, they all are based on water, so it
That's
doesn't
right.
make a difference. Raymond doesn't have sewer. Epping is based on water. Merrimack, their commercial properties are all based on water also. The only one that I found that was similar to us is Bow. They have a flat fee like we do, and they are not charging any of the restaurants for outdoor seating. They said it's not a significant, amount of businesses that have it, so.
We can take that into consideration when we decide what we're gonna do ultimately. But I think our present formula for treatment units is based on seating, correct, Corey? And employees as well?
Employees and seats.
So, I imagine that most of these restaurants are using the same employees. I doubt if they've added employees for the seasonal. They probably can't even find people to work as it is. So I think we would be looking at additional seating and coming up with some sort of an idea on what we're going to come up with a fair price to add that seating to their bill. And then they're gonna have to get a letter, I guess, in the July bill, when you send the July bill out, that's when we're gonna begin this, or June, whenever you send the next
I think
bill
we
out?
were gonna wait and do it at the November one.
Okay,
Tell them that.
that's good.
So it was closer to,
Closer to when we're gonna do it?
Yeah.
Okay. So that gives them 6 months, and then they're also 6 months in arrears anyway, it gives them a whole year. Okay.
So, letter sent out in November with the bill,
Advising them of the changes they're gonna be
but
seeing.
we would need a response from the restaurants as to their intentions for outside seating. They should state.
Well, that would be a good point, that maybe we could
Could we-
contact them. In that letter, require them to contact us within 30 days or 60 days with their intent, or we'll surmise, based on the outdoor seating they have now, or something to that effect. But I agree with you, David, we should get input from the restaurants. It's a good idea, excellent. So Corey, how many restaurants, just without giving all the information, how many restaurants do we have outdoor seating at this time?
I went through and I found 7.
7, okay.
And some of them, like you have at the center of Pinard, Ubon Thai, they have 2 tiny tables in the sidewalk with 2 chairs at each table.
Okay,
So, but the biggest ones are the Trestle and Putnam's.
right. So I would wondered if the commissioners would consider that, once we send the letter out, we could get Corey or Lynn to follow up with the restaurants. And we should they be sent return receipt mail, or just sent with their bill? Because I don't want anybody to claim I didn't get the,
It's $7 per letter.
well, there's only 7 restaurants.
Okay,
Potentially 8, if, I guess, if Ollie's does it.
yeah. Do we want to, if we do this, do we want to state, a minimum number of tables before we start charging? Because like Ubon Thai,
No, I don't think we have any minimum number. Outdoor seating is outdoor seating, it's cut and dried. We're not giving anything away. We've been giving it away forever until this discussion. We've extended it for 2 years based on COVID. As a matter of fact, we even offered restaurants the ability to have their sewer bill.
Is that even though four chairs, how does that work out with your formula?
20 gallons a day per seat.
Is that going to work out to at least one treatment unit or something? I mean,
Well, that's where we have to see how it's
Yeah.
gonna go. We can do a half a treatment unit. We could call that the minimum regardless. Can you let us, how many tables and chairs does it take to make a half a treatment unit, Corey? Can you tell us off the top of your head?
Yeah. Let's do some math here.
I got a calculator if you want it.
Yeah. $11.
Tables is a half a treatment unit,
Yep. Or 11 chairs.
11 chairs. That could be 3 tables.
Yep.
All right, so, bring a good point up, Linda. I don't think we're gonna give anything. We're gonna have to call
So-
half a treatment unit our
minimum.
minimum.
We usually round to
Nearest half.
nearest half. So if it's under 25%, it rounds down to 0. So yes, there is a minimum.
So yes, if the commission contends that we have a rounding up, rounding down standard practice that we use, we will apply that to the number of tables that are gonna be. So if whatever that,
Do we currently round down? Or
Yeah, sometimes if it's
less than a half?
less
Some-
than a half,
Okay.
or I've only seen it where it's just over 1 treatment unit or just over 1.5. So you stay with 1.5, you don't hit them with 2.
Right.
Or you stay with 1,
But you're still charging.
but you're still charging.
So we need to continue the discussion on whether
Is
we're
this
gonna.
a planning department issue as well, with increasing the use of the land? That
Well, I think that's,
isn't on an approved plan?
I think it's one of those turn their blind eye to situations all the time. Because they just don't want the aggravation.
Hmm.
And they don't want the bad press. We don't want the bad press, but we gotta pay for our gallons at the treatment plant. You know, it's not like we're getting free disposal,
Mhm.
so. All right. All right, so, if anybody has anything that they'd like to jot down for the next meeting, I'd like to just put this on the agenda monthly to continue the discussion, and we'll move forward with it. But by November, we have to have a consensus and a letter ready for the November billing.
Just out of curiosity, a standard picnic table, how many people can you fit at it?
Normally 6, I guess.
You would say 6? Okay. Because like Mountain Base Brewing, they have their big thing in the parking lot out back, but it's all picnic tables.
Picnic tables seat 6 people, standard issue.
Depends on
If they,
how long
if they
the
want to
picnic
seat,
table
if they
is.
want to seat 2 people on each side, then I'll take the chainsaw and cut the center section of the seat out and make 2 individual spots for 2 people to sit. Let's be reasonable.
Now, looking back at the minutes, we didn't charge always an accessibility fee. We're not gonna charge any of we're just gonna do the treatment, the user
Because
fee, right?
they already had paid, they were grandfathered under the accessibility program. If somebody comes in with a brand new restaurant in Goffstown, and you wanna open a brand new restaurant, they're gonna pay accessibility fee on outdoor seating. Because once we establish outdoor seating as part of our schedule, then they would be charged on it.
Question, does that decision need to go in the sewer use ordinance?
Oh, it's going to have to probably go in the sewer use ordinance eventually, once we make a decision on it.
Okay.
Now, how do we add to the sewer use, well, go ahead, Daniel, sorry.
Does our ordinance address indoor versus outdoor? Because like, it's all just seating.
Just says
During the
seating,
winter,
based on seating.
a random restaurant has
So maybe we don't need to.
10 tables, and during the summer, they have 15.
I was just thinking about it earlier, and I'm like, it doesn't specifically say anything about indoor, outdoor. It just says a
Seating.
restaurant, seats.
Right. So we could go with it and amend the sewer ordinance however we need to do. How do we amend the sewer ordinance, Mike? Just at a voice vote here at a meeting?
Yeah.
Do we have to have a public hearing, Dave? Imagine, right?
We would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we were gonna amend the sewer ordinance to include the language that the seating is based on indoor and outdoor, indoor and or outdoor, then that would be, that language would be adding three words to the sewer use ordinance. And we could have a public hearing on it, and we could adopt that language. Okay.
But you'd want provision in there that the outdoor seating is prorated, right? Since it's
Yes, we will make sure we
year-round. Yeah.
clearly state everything. All right, thanks for bringing that up, guys. Good point. Anything else on outdoor seating until the next meeting? Okay. Well, Danielle's not here
Oh, well,
yet.
I have one more thing
Okay,
that,
go ahead.
for other business. I
Oh,
believe you all saw the email that came a week or so, 2 weeks ago from Belmore. It's the proposal for the back-on.
Right. Is that based on the state bid, Corey?
I think the first one was compared to it. I haven't even seen, I didn't even get that.
You should have it, it should be in your packet then.
Oh, no, usually they send it to me, but it didn't come to me.
You should have it in your packet, you can take that for you.
Well, we are able to apply vending that's on the state bid list to us as a municipality. Therefore, I assume his vending price is $215 an hour for the state. What was it last year, Corey, do you remember?
Actually, I don't remember.
180?
Yeah, and when I talked to him this winter, he said it was gonna go up some,
Well,
because of cost of fuel.
could you, I think we should have a vote on this tonight to authorize signing of it based on information Corey would get for us. We wouldn't have to wait for another meeting to sign it. If Corey could confirm that this is the state bid pricing, would be great. If not, are the commissioners okay with paying more than state bid? I don't think we're gonna be able to get anybody else.
I consider the charge per hour is a reasonable amount. Just be aware that they have a stipulation in here, of disposal fee and traffic details are in addition.
It's always been like that. We've always
Yeah.
hired our own traffic folks
Yeah.
in the past. In fact, Corey, gonna have to get a contract with them again for this
Yeah.
year. Disposal fees, there's no disposal fees, is there?
We haven't needed to yet, because we have a dumpster that's buried at DPW,
Right,
and they dump out in there.
okay,
And when it's dry, they just,
clean it up.
yep.
Okay. And water costs, we get water from,
Fire hydrant here in the village, or at the
do they
fire
require us
station
to put a
Bernardville.
meter on it, or do they just let us use it?
We just use it.
Okay, good. All right, well, I would submit to the commissioners that if everyone is okay with the $215 an hour rate, we should get a motion tonight, and then we can get our information from Corey, but, I don't wanna turn into an argument with them and then have them say, well, you know, we're not gonna do your work for you, cause now we got nobody.
I'm gonna guess it is, saying that Public Works is now using them as well for their catch basins.
Okay. All right,
And you would make arrangements for their services according to the schedule you have for cleaning
Yeah,
pipes?
yep, late summer.
yeah, you generally
Early
wait till
fall.
the end of the year.
Yeah.
That's good, because that
Low
way it's
flow.
done. Well, it's also good because then it's done right before winter.
Because we need you to be available, or your assistant to be available
Well, hopefully we'll have an assistant by
uh,
then.
as they're working, so.
Okay, motion, gentlemen, one of you?
Motion, Mr. Chairman, to have a contract with Belmore Septic Sewer Drain Company for on-call services of cleaning our sewer lines at the rate of $215 an hour.
Daniel?
Second the motion?
Motion been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention? Motion passed. Just in time, Danielle, we are on your topic.
And Corey is the agent for obtaining their services.
Yeah.
Yep. You're doing double duty this evening. Board of Trustees. and-
Well, we'll try to be brief so you can get out, because we're ready to go to non-public as soon as we're done with this.
Okay.
We've completed all our in-house business. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I know it's a lot of paper. So regarding the job descriptions before you, the one on the top that says revised, that is a document from Corey where he had gone through the current version of his job description, which included highway and utility components. And he had, gone through and removed items that he felt were specific to DPW. And so that's his kind of first draft revision. So we just put revised on it so you can identify it. Behind that is a copy of the original as it currently stands. Behind that is a copy of the position that you're currently trying to fill, the assistant sewer foreman,
Okay,
which was Joe's position.
okay.
Then, in the large packet, what you have there are 20 job descriptions from surrounding communities that vary greatly depending on the community. Some of them have waste collection systems, some of them have wastewater treatment plants, some of them are water treatment facilities, but it does give you a broad look at a variety of job descriptions. There may be components that are consistent across the various job descriptions. So my thought was, by having this information available, the commissioners could review the various job descriptions and determine if there are any tasks on these job descriptions that you think need to be captured on Corey's job description, or if there are any tasks that Corey's not doing that maybe could be something that is needed, or maybe it's not. It completely depends on what you find in there. But the idea is just to have information available as you're doing the review of the position as it has developed over the last few years.
Okay,
And then once you know which job description and duties, which duty components match, then the discussion about what you want to title the position may become a little bit more clear, because each of these versions, some of them have superintendents, some have chiefs, some have supervisors. So they all kind of have different, titles depending on what roles they cover.
are the titles really that significant?
No, they all
They're not
just,
really.
it's really just a preference thing. But, again, once you kind of have the duties outlined, there may be a title that you feel makes sense.
Because we need to identify that Corey is the superintendent, if you will, just for a word, that's in charge of the subordinates within the department.
Yeah, especially because the other position currently is titled Assistant sewer foreman,
Right.
which kind of implies that there is a sewer foreman or
Well, there is-
something
yeah,
of that nature.
There is now.
So,
So we would have to possibly retitle both of them,
potentially.
potentially. Okay.
And then, once the job descriptions have been determined and the, a title's assigned, then placement on the matrix would be the next step in the discussion. Where does that position with its newly reviewed duties fall in line with other positions that we have throughout town? So
Okay.
currently, the select board, as of last night, approved the RFP for the full review of all positions in town, which included non-union personnel positions, as well as our unions. We've asked for bids from consultants to review the wages and classification, the matrix, as well as benefits potentially. So we're gonna see what the consultants come back with for bids to complete that project.
Did you select a consultant or are you looking for
We
bids?
have not, we just opened the bidding today.
So what was your expected time frame if everything went well?
So we are currently asking for the project to be phased, to be able to go through all the job descriptions as kind of phase one, do all the matrix and benefits components as phase two, so that way by hopefully September, we have final information that can be used in the budget process for the next year.
Yes, that's where I was getting to.
Yeah, so we do understand from our initial review of positions across town that there are some positions that may need to be, brought up a little bit to make sure that they're in line with other towns or similar positions. Other positions might be right where they should be. So we really want to have this data available for, consideration as we move into the budget process.
Are we also looking at it the way the state of New Hampshire is looking at it with their proposed big raises for state employees, that we are in a very tight job market and we can't really afford to lose anybody?
Yeah, and we have also seen other communities actually just discussing the fact that they have, multi-year contracts with unions, that they've had to reopen negotiations mid-contract and do sidebars to make adjustments because the labor market is so extreme right now. So that is something that we're trying to capture, and that's part of why we've asked the consultants to do a compensation study as well,
Okay.
so we can analyze
So
the
that-
benefits package.
That question has been asked and is being considered.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Danielle, the firm you select to do the compensation study, do they interview the department heads?
There is a component where they're going to be proposing as part of their project bid how they're going to gather their information. I mean, obviously, we would have all our job descriptions available. We'd like to see standardization as far as the formatting. If job descriptions are altered, making sure they all make sense and follow the same kind of template. And then, of course, interviewing department heads or interviewing people within the positions. That's something that we had done in 2016, and we are looking to have that component, because otherwise they can't really get a good understanding of what each position does, because as we see by the, job descriptions before us, there could be a million names for different overlapping positions, so.
So tonight's packet is for homework and
Homework.
discussion at a later date. We're not going to make any decisions tonight. Does anybody have any questions for Danielle on the information that was presented tonight? No? Okay.
Just, and Dan, you can look at the selectmen's package from last night. It has a listing of all the positions that will be
Consider it.
part of the study.
and
Yeah.
our positions in our
And
department.
yes, there's, on this, somewhere on these charts are three positions.
We have 161 positions across town, including full-time and part-time.
Okay.
The only ones we've excluded from the study, for our bidding process was seasonal.
Okay. But-
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for Danielle at this time? Do you have a warrant that we're going to sign tonight, Lynn?
No.
So does anybody have any other business for the commission at this time before we enter into non-public?
Mr.
Go
Chair,
ahead.
I apologize since I just got here, but was there a discussion about the current sewer foreman's schedule change.
No?
So he notified us that he's shifting his schedule. Typically, what we see is DPW during the construction season goes to a 4-day schedule, and that schedule goes before the select board for their approval. So we just wanted to make sure, since you're having a meeting tonight and he's going to be starting that schedule, that we capture that in the same manner. I know last year it was approved, so we just kind of wanted to bring that forward to make sure everybody's aware that there would be a schedule difference, especially with one person down.
Okay. Making that request at this time?
Yes.
Speaking of one person down, at our last board, we wanted our vacancy advertised in-house for 2 weeks.
We've
There were
received
no
replies.
responses. Was it released worldwide?
Yes.
Okay.
It is posted on the website and available to anyone
And
now.
the closing date is,
We always have it listed as open until filled,
Yeah.
but we begin first review after 30 days typically.
Okay. So Corey is requesting the commissioners to enter into a 10-hour, 4-day-a-week work schedule for a period of time until bad weather gets here. Is that what you're?
Generally April to November.
Okay. I have no problem with it. Anybody else have any problem with it? No. Dave?
I don't.
Okay.
So
Do we need a
we'll-
motion?
Yes, please.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the sewer foreman's request to enter into a 10-hour, 4-day, 10-hour week until November, or he advises us that he may get done earlier than that.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion passes. Okay. We're gonna do a non-public for compensation, which will involve Corey and the commissioners and Danielle. You gentlemen can take off.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in tonight, guys.
Thank you.
So, David, would you make a motion to go into non-public, please?
We're going to go into non-public session under RSA 91-A:3, Roman 2A, compensation.
Okay. Second that motion,
I'll
Daniel?
second the motion.
Motion's been seconded. We have to have a roll call vote on that. Commissioner Pierce?
Yes?
Commissioner Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond says yes. We will enter into non-public. Prior to entering into non-public, we will conclude the meeting after the
When we come out of
after we come
non-public, there
out,
will be
but we will
further-
not be on TV at that time.
Correct.
When we come out of non-public, there will be no further public discussion. or
So
voting.
GTV, I assume you have heard that we are going to, we had a vote, so we're ready to go into non-public, but we have to know that the TV is being turned off